if you are a subscriber already. Ooh. And welcome back if you are new. So as a reminder, please like and subscribe to help get my information up there, as I am new to building my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to talk about Libra. So Libra represents on the body everything like balance and harmony, trying to create equilibrium. So it's the kidneys and the lower back, because it's close to that area, and the skin, because skin is kind of like about aesthetics, and Libra loves making things really nice, beautiful, pretty, just want to look good, because who doesn't, right? I think. So Libra is the cardinal air sign that represents the 7th house in the Zodiac. It represents basically relationships, like your committed one-on-one relationships, your one-on-one business partnerships, as well as contracts. Because when you think about marriage, which is a big part of this house, you're usually traditionally creating a contract between two people that you agree that you're going to commit to each other and work things out, whether it's good times, bad times. And so it's a communication sign. So you have to communicate, as it takes two to make a healthy relationship work. Otherwise, if there's miscommunications, dishonest communication, the lack of communication, then it is not going to be a harmonious, pleasant relationship, which Libra loves peace and harmony. It is one of the people pleasers of the Zodiac. And when I talk about people pleasing, it's not like they are purposely trying to please. I'm a Libra rising myself. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna really self-sacrifice to make someone else feel better, or really self-sacrifice or just overgive to where the other person stays with me, or you don't want to rock the boat or have harsh feelings or anything. It doesn't have to look that obvious or loud, but if you think about it a little bit deeper, it is basically what I just said. It's just more quiet. So for Libras, anyone who has like sun, moon, rising in their chart with a Libra, they just want to keep the peace. They don't want anyone to be mad. They don't want disharmony. So when they do that, it's not like they're doing that. That's just what they want. They want peace and harmony, peace on earth. It's like a Miss Congeniality or a beauty pageant. Like you want just everyone to be, get along, just pleasant, just be, peaceful with each other, leave on good terms, or if you have an argument, just like be nice about it or whatever. And so a Libra can fall into this like quieting their own voice, or being too understanding of the other person to the point where they're sacrificing their own voice or needs or wants because they're more concerned about the other people, the other person. How is the other person going to feel? The other person is kind of emotional, not taking a situation very well, and they have a strong opinion, and so a Libra might hold back if they have an opposing opinion, if the other person seems like they wouldn't take that confrontation very well, like they wouldn't side with the Libra. So the Libra will just keep quiet, even though they are basically the sign of debate, and you have to communicate, debate it out. You're going to argue it out, because you have to come to you have to collaborate or compromise in some way. And Libras don't really like to do that, even though they represent what that is. It's like the judge, and it's the scales. It is the only inanimate object in the zodiac, where all the other zodiac signs are either an animal or a person. Libra is the only one where it's a thing, you know, so it is almost like they are able to kind of take out their own emotions and think about a situation or a person or whatever it is in a very, very logical, calculated way, kind of weighing out the pros and cons. Does the punishment fit the crime? You know, the level. It's like not just a easy black and white solution, because they're always trying to balance the two sides, or the two whatever. They're always trying to balance opposing energies. So with that, like, they can seem very wishy-washy, indecisive, like they can't make up their mind, or they're like, I don't know, or they might be like, oh, I don't know, like, I'm up for whatever you want to do. But then at the same time, they might not want to do what you want to do, but they can't come up with something that they want to do, so they just go along with whatever you want to do. And then once you suggest what you want to do, then they'll be like, okay, or oh no, they weren't expecting that. So they're more of a responsive kind of energy, so they hold back in order to see what everyone else wants to do, because they're thinking about, what does everyone else want to do, and I'll just go along with it, I'll just have fun. So they can be like very laid back, easygoing at times, but then it's kind of, they're the opposite of Aries, and Aries is extremely decisive and knows what it wants, knows what it doesn't want, and it's just very decisive, very fast. So this is the opposite sign of like, I'm not sure what I want to do, or what I want to wear, or what is the best decision. I need to think about it and kind of pull back, do some research, analyze, and think like, what would I really want? What would make me happy? What are all these different things that would be considered if I made this choice? What are all the different things that lead down to that? If I made this choice, these are all the different possibilities and scenarios that may lead from that, good and bad, blah, blah, blah. So they're always like, they're actually very, very smart, even though they may come off as kind of aloof and like the kind of the dumb girl next door, or boy next door. They can come off as like, yeah, I don't know what you want to perceive that with. But they're actually very sharp and smart, and they have a really good viewpoint of whatever they know of kind of gathered, and the decisions that they make overall. If a Libra finally decides on what they want to do or the direction they want to go, it's because they've really come to that conclusion that it's the best decision for them, which is a very wise and smart thing to do. Instead of being very impulsive, choosing something and then realizing, oh, I didn't really think about it like that, or it's just a lot harder than I anticipated. You know, like if you didn't really think everything through, like what it takes for something to work fairly well, or you have a kind of good lead on something. So that's kind of in a nutshell, even though it's not quite a nutshell explanation. That's like a Libra energy, and Libras love aesthetics. So, you know, like looking good, having a nice environment, nice architecture or interior design or clothing, makeup, or suits, ties, you know, like sense of style. like good taste, or being able to be kind of creative and make things just look good because they're ruled by Venus. So Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So these two signs have a good kind of eye for aesthetics and just making things look nice kind of effortlessly, and it just goes together. A lot of Libras, like, they can make something look that wouldn't typically look good on someone else, and they can somehow make it work for them. They also tend to look pleasant in the face, or body structure is kind of like aesthetically pleasing in some way. And of course, that depends on your personal perspective of what is attractive to you. But for the most part, they have this kind of Venusian kind of aura to them, that it's like Venus is all like, just attracts beauty, finances, just like pleasantness, peace, just like, it's just nice. So that's just like giving them this kind of Venus kind of touch, which is Libra and Taurus. Libra represents, contract. So you can look at it as it's mostly relationship, any kind of relationship kind of contract. It can also represent contracts like if you sign a mortgage or a lease, or buy a new car, anything that's dealing with a contract, because a contract is an agreement that is written down, usually by a lawyer. It doesn't have to be. And it's written out, what are the rules, what is one side going to provide and give financially, or an actual product, and then what is the other person who is purchasing committing to. So it's a compromise of like, hey, I'm gonna loan this amount of money because you don't have the cash, and on your end you agree to pay the monthly payments by this date for this much, whatever it is, for the duration of, it's all detailed and laid out. So this way it's fair between two parties, or like, what is the interest rate? Because someone is lending out a ton of money, which the other person doesn't have. So it's a contract or a compromise. It's all about compromising what is fair and just and agreed upon between two people. And so that is usually marriage, even though a lot of people don't ask enough or the right questions before they get into a contracted marital relationship. This is where we get all the divorces, and the Pluto in Libra generation, this is the generation who redefined what marriage looks like, what relationships look like. And so this was the generation that had, or has, because they're still alive, they have the most divorces. So that is what that whole generation is here, what they kind of brought into the world we live in today. And so, yes, what else? So Libra also represents other people. So it's always about the other. It's not about the self. That's why they're good about thinking about other people's perspectives, what their beliefs are, even though if it's different from them, they're willing to hear out whatever, how did they come to this conclusion or belief system. They're willing to kind of hear all the sides. So if the Libra is a judge and they're hearing two opponents before the judge, then they're hearing what is the problem, because they want to solve the problem. They're good critical thinkers and problem solvers, and creating creative ways of like thinking you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of people try to just get what they want. They're here for their own benefits, their own directive, or they don't want to look bad, or they're just angry and they're just throwing shade on the other person. And so the judge is here to be like, okay, what happened? What happened over here? And what happened over there? And it's like, okay, so you're saying blah, 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 you know, and you're saying blah, blah, blah. But, you know, like, you know, they come up with something else that, you know, they need to clarify, like, what is the situation? Is someone trying to be manipulative and get their way when it's actually morally wrong and it hurts the other person? They're trying to figure out all the messiness that can arise when lawsuits happen, when divorces happen. It's not pretty, it's not peaceful and harmonious, and it's like, like a Libra does not like that. And so they are trying to help in bringing justice to what is morally right, you know, and putting people in their place when their scale is too high and the other one's too low, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't fair. Like someone was taking advantage or being corrupt, sneaky, or cheating, lying, stealing, cheating, and the other person is just trying to have a voice and they're having a hard time speaking up and displaying their case. And you know, now the judge has to be the ultimate decider, and hopefully the judge is actually like a good, genuine, logical, is not playing behind the scenes on one side or another. You know, but the energy is the intention is justice, weighing out the scale, so it's mostly balanced. So everyone is kind of, they can forgive, be at peace, and be like, okay, we need to move on, because we can't get stuck in one situation that's gonna spiral down instead of, okay, we recover and we spiral back up. So that is Libra. So they can come off as aloof, silly, kind of a ditzy a little bit, or like, huh? Or, you know, like pretending that they don't know when they kind of know, but they just, you know, want to look innocent and keep the peace in some way. They're really good at, if there's kind of any kind of like turmoil, you know, they're like a equalizer or harmonizer. You know, they'll give some kind of explanation or something when maybe one person or like a sibling who's like, ugh, they're acting like this, blah, 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 or whatever. And so a Libra will be like, well, maybe this and this happened, or they're that way because they grew up in a childhood that was very toxic and that was the only way that person survived. So they operate in like a not the best light, you know, and they're trying to give a reason or debate for whatever the opposing side is to try and neutralize and equalize whatever that energy is. So they'll be a little bit more empathetic and understanding of the other person, even if the Libra doesn't even like the other person. They'll advocate for the other person in some kind of logical reasoning that can happen. So it's just like Libras just know relationships, and if they don't know relationships, they have a lot of other things in their chart. But the real, true, genuine archetype of a Libra, if you had like all the placements in Libra, you're like saturated with Libra energy, or you're a South Node in Libra. I am a South Node in Libra. You've mastered this archetype of relationships, how to compromise, and what that actually is, even if what is actually happening in reality is not that, because it takes two people. And so even if a Libra is not like in a idealistic, successful relationship, they are trying to get there. Their real goal is like a peaceful, harmonious, loving relationship that is devoted and dedicated, and you can work things out and you grow together as two separate people. Or kind of, I mean, it can be a little bit more of an anxious attachment and you do everything together, or codependency or something like that. But the energy is, it's all about relationships, marriage, contracts, and compromise between two people. Because you can't make the other person that you're in love with, or you want them to just mold into what you want, because they are their separate person too. And to have a healthy relationship, you have to allow the other person to be their individual self, have their space, move through or navigate through situations in their own way also, even if it's not on your time or it's not the way that you want it to look like. Libra energy is about compromise, learning about each other, getting to really know each other, which is more of a Leo energy of that introductory stage. If it was done well, like in a communicative, like a strong foundation of, do you really know what you want and don't want in a relationship? And can we come together, and do we kind of align for the most part? Or if there's any deal breakers, is it really a deal breaker? Or do I like the other person enough to where I will bend a little bit or change my beliefs enough to where, like, am I going to feel like genuinely okay? Not because I have this dreamy facade of I am in love, because that will fade over time. It is, would I genuinely be happy if I compromise these things consistently for many, many years because I want to be with this person? And if that is a yes, then you can move forward, or you have to communicate, negotiate, talk things out, and see if the other person's going to kind of change their way, be a little bit flexible too, And so when you can communicate those things, because Libra is the air sign, and come to an agreement, of like, hey, if we're gonna join like partnership, join resources, join, like, how is our schedules going to work, and what is going to keep both of us happy, and do you or do you not want children, or what are your beliefs in monogamy? Not everyone believes in that. Like, is the other person willing to be upfront and honest with how they truly feel, or do they don't want to be alone, so they want to get someone into a marriage contract, so they always have that person, and it's not easy for the other to leave. So this is also the house of open enemies, because we don't always know what the true intention of the other person really, really is. Some people can kind of go along with it in the beginning for a while, and they tell you things, they say things to you that make you believe that you're on the same page. And do those actions match? Does anything actually happen? Do things suddenly change after, a few months after marriage, or like a little bit after someone is pregnant or has gotten pregnant? It could be vice versa. And that is kind of like an open enemy of someone actually wanted to get with you to somehow gain, trap, or take something from the other person, or keep that person away from other people who might pursue that person. They have to lock them down and take them off the market. So it is an open enemy sign. Or you can sign a bad contract. You know, if you didn't read the fine print, if you didn't really look over what are you actually signing, and you just blindly trust whoever told you what it is, and it's not actually what is written on the document, and you just blindly trust, and you signed away on it. And when some kind of notice in the mail or people show up at your door and you're like, what the hell is going on? You're like, oh yeah, you signed this thing. Like, yeah, that was for this, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, what you actually signed is blah, blah, blah. And you will have a big 180 mind F, you know. So it is open enemy. So you have to really look over the fine detail. That's Virgo energy. Really think about, what are you doing? What are you signing off on? This is not like marriage or a house, car, anything big, finance that can bankrupt you, or whatever that is. Like, you have to look through it. You have to really think it through. It's not like romance and escape into a love fantasy to fill the void that you didn't get as a child, or somehow you can't feel that on your own, and it just feels so good because you're falling in love with the trauma that you're not even aware that you have until much later. And it's work. Relationships are work. So you grow wherever you water it, whatever the saying is. And so relationships are kind of like that. It's not like has to be a 24/7 focus, you know, but you do have to kind of know what you're getting into. And so that is kind of like the real Libra archetype. But if a Libra is not quite there yet, or hasn't developed their assertiveness skills, or, you know, like, just speak up, you know, because you have a really good viewpoint and a really good way of thinking critically and what is really the best for you. Don't be afraid to speak up, because actually a lot of people in the world need that person who has a lot of vantage points and seeing two sides of a coin, in order to kind of come to better conclusions about any kind of decision or world events or a business deal, or whatever situation. Really good at seeing that other person's perspective and what they may or may not be thinking, planning, doing, what are their intentions, and why they're acting or doing the things that they are doing, and questioning it. So Libras are very valuable in that way. But if they don't speak up and they're afraid that they're going to create an argument, or someone is not going to like them because of their point of view or their ability to question things or ask two sides of the corner, like seeing things, are kind of a little bit psychic in a way, because they can see that far out, like the branch and trail of events that can potentially happen. Then you know, you have allowed things to kind of fall apart when it didn't have to be that way. You could have addressed it and nipped it in the bud in the beginning, if you take on or learn that opposite side, which is Aries, if you don't already have that. So that's why you have to look at your own personal birth chart We all have all 12 zodiac signs in our own birth chart. It's just we have more or less planets, the major planets, in certain zodiac signs in certain houses. Some people have it really clustered in one area, and some people, they're really spread out. Some people have like a lot of fire and no earth, you know, nothing to ground them or slow them down, or, you know, vice versa. It can be any kind of mixture, you know. So people are wired the way that they are, and there's a higher divine purpose. Everyone has their own small or large part to play, and everyone matters, but we are at the same time all different, and we all have control of our own choices, which are actions and non-actions and everything in between. So that is why you have to really look at your own chart. And you know, some people have duplications or interceptions, or the starting line of each house is, you know, at a different degree, and so the transits are going to transit over a little bit differently for a variety of people who all have the same rising sign. It'll still be a tad bit different, of course. No one's actual situation is exactly the same, and if you think that way, you're very limited in your thinking. So that is Libra archetype, the 7th house of the zodiac, and the cardinal action-oriented air sign, which is communication. And check out my website if you want to book a personal birth chart reading, which is pre-recorded, and I'll email you a private link for that, so you can watch it as many times as you want. When I first restarted researching and digging into my own birth chart, I rejected a chunk of my own placements where I heard the interpretation, and I was like, nah, that's not me, like, yeah, you know. But after really thinking about it, like what the actual energy is about, or, you know, it might not be playing out in the way that I might assume it to be playing out in, like our stereotypical definition. So you have to really think about it, and things may come back to you randomly, and you might want to refer back to it, just for self-awareness, because the more self-aware you are, the easier you're able to change if you want to change things or work on it, whether that is fast or slow, whatever your pace is, or if you're even ready for that. But if you don't notice these things, it's really hard, and not everyone is going to tell you those things. They might just get quiet or just avoid you, or usually it's like a parent or someone really close to you that will kind of tell you things about yourself that you don't really want to hear, or you know these are kind of pitfalls for yourself, but you know, you just like, ugh, whatever, you know, and you want to just keep doing whatever you're doing, because it's not easy to change. So just hearing it from whatever I see in your birth chart, if anything kind of, you know, clicks for you, then you're like, that's kind of weird. And you might notice things a little bit more, or be more open to work on things if you want to work on things. So that is it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share my my videos to a friend or anyone that you think might benefit from a video like this, or an interpretation like this, or whatever creative analogies I put into my videos. They're all a little bit different. And I'm sorry for rambling. I tend to ramble. And it's like I can go on for like a 4-hour lecture. So that is apparently my style. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye. So high, so high, so high. All angels sing from up above. You know you make